We've talked a lot on this program about attracting the garden good guys, the beneficial insects that do such a great job of controlling garden pests. But let's not give short shrift to our bigger friends. They need a place to live as well to battle the bugs in your garden. We recently spoke with UC Cooperative Extension Farm Advisor Rachel Long about how to attract birds to your garden. Hedgerows may be out of the scope for many backyard gardeners, but I think adding evergreen shrubs where you have dense foliage that can serve as a hotel for some of our bigger friends, like birds who can help control things like tomato worms, are very important to have. Evergreen shrubs like here in California, the California Bay, the Laurus nobilis, the toyon you mentioned, the manzanita, all of those are important. But think about a border of shrubs, too, evergreen shrubs that help to keep the birds around, the little birds.
Right. Those are actually really, really important for helping to control pests, too. For example, we just finished a study looking at bird predation of codling moth in walnut orchards and apples, and find that birds in migrating through areas that they're gleaning the bark where these codling moth, which is, big pest. It's a worm pest of apples, pears, walnuts, and they glean the bark and they eat up all these overwintering codling moth and really help to suppress the pest numbers. And finding that birds are critically important for helping to control pests in backyard gardens. And by putting in habitat for birds, it does these plants like toyon with the Christmas berry and other flowering plants, bring in hummingbirds but also insectivorous birds that feed on a lot of crop pests like the tomato hornworm or the armyworm and pests and do help to control them. And a lot of people are worried, then they're going to eat my fruit and such, but overall, if the benefits that you get from birds really far outweighs any occasional problems that you might have with some of the birds, like feeding on fruit or seeds or nut crops. Those, people think, well, if I put in habitat, then I'm going to bring in pest birds, but those would be like your flocking birds, like your blackbirds or your crows and or cowbirds. But those birds, they're there regardless of habitat, and that you could have a hedgerow or not have a hedgerow, and those flocking birds are going to really cue in on crops or any sort of backyard gardens. But having the habitat just brings in a lot of songbirds that are important for feeding on pests, particularly in the springtime when they need the insects to feed their young as a high energy source. And so it is really critically important to put in habitat that favors birds as well.